You're listening to Tripod, a podcast produced by Tricycle Creative to help safely navigate creative business owners through the worlds of digital marketing, strategic content creation, and business growth. Host Ross Erosion is a marketing consultant, content creator, and entrepreneur who brings you helpful tips, social media updates, inspiring interviews, and his own unique perspective on how to tell your story and grow your business. So if you're interested in being a better marketer, business owner, or creator, sit back, relax, and let's get pedaling.
It's another No Facebook November episode. And you know what? Today is the first day that I've had to turn on the heat in my house. Week 2 of November. It's chilly, 50 degrees here in Austin, Texas. So the good news, though, is where I do my podcast in my office, it gets really hot. As my guests can attest, because when they see me on video, by the end of it, I'm sweaty and gross. And today's guest, who gets to see me be sweaty and gross, is Hillary Applegate. Welcome.
Thank you, Ross. Nice to be back.
Do you see what I did there? I made sure to use your new married name. Congratulations on the nuptials, by the way.
Thank you. April 2021. What a time to get married.
Yep.
Love conquers all, people.
How have you, and I do see you made the decision to do the name change. So anyone after this episode, you're going to want to definitely hear more from Hillary. We have a couple other episodes. I'm going to have to go back on the blog and change your name. Your previous name, Houghton, now Applegate. That sounds like that's actually a big life upgrade name-wise. Nothing against Houghtons. I'm just saying.
Nothing against Houghtons at all, but it is nice not to have to explain the spelling or the pronunciation every time I make a dinner reservation, which isn't that often, but, you know, it all adds up.
Yeah, my wife went the reverse way. What's the word I'm looking for? Not married.
Maiden name.
Thank you. Oh my God. Her maiden name was Strong. Does not get easier than that, right? She opted to change her name to my Cuckoo Banana's last name, Herosian. So you know she's really committed. That's a big commitment.
That is a big commitment.
And I was talking to you before the show, and I said, all the time that you're going to save now for the rest of your life, where you don't have to spell your last name to people, you're probably going to live an extra 2-3 years, probably, and you add up all that time.
Probably. That and sleeping. I do sleep a lot, so my husband has added up the time that he would be alive and enjoying the daytime while I would be sleeping, and it's about 2.5 years.
Is your husband, is he an engineer type brain by chance?
He's operations guy.
Okay, so I just didn't know if he properly, like I know people and have known people in my life who are like engineers or engineer minded. And they're the type of people who just for fun would be like, well, I've wrote up a script in Google, and what it does is it's connected to Hillary's Apple Watch, and it brings in the data when she's sleeping, and it allocates how long she's going to it's like, oh my God. So I didn't know if he's taking it that far or if it's just.
No. Definitely more of just like an Excel input, quick, code it out, nothing crazy.
Got it. He's got a napkin on his desk where he's just tracking how long you're sleeping. Got it. Makes total sense. So today, continuing on this No Facebook November theme, where I'm off Facebook for a month. And when I say Facebook, Hillary's probably going to call me on it. She's been cringing this whole time. We now, I guess, properly have to call it Meta, right? So if we're really going to be accurate, it hasn't been official, but it's been announced. So when I say Facebook, I'm talking about Facebook, Meta, and also Instagram. So I'm off Instagram, all for the business side. I am tinkering a little still on personal. I talked about this in the first episode of the series here, where it did feel a little cold turkey if I do it personal, but like I've been going in significantly less. As my mom I need to tell her, because she's probably still tagging me in photos and whatnot and wondering why I'm not replying to anything. So it's been interesting. It's been productive so far. Again, a couple weeks in, but today we're talking about other social options, and who better than Hillary to talk about this. Hillary, real quick, who are you and what do you do?
Of course. My name is Hillary Applegate, formerly Houghton. Still getting used to saying it. But I am the founder and CEO of Social HQ, which is a social media agency for busy brands based here in Austin, Texas. We work with brands of larger scale companies that are really focused on lean marketing teams and have those dollars that are extremely precious to them in order to make the biggest splash. So we turn their audience into their biggest advocates and utilize social media to drive that awareness and excitement around those brands. So I've been doing it for about a decade now and have loved it since 2011.
Does it feel weird to say that you've been doing anything for like over 10 years? Because I realized that when I was going on a show or something recently and I had to write up a bio for them and I was like, oh my God, I think I'm at like the 15-year plus mark for this stuff. And it felt weird.
It does feel weird. There's a lot of times, especially with social, because it changes so much all the time. I feel new all the time. Totally. And then I'm like, but I've been doing this for a very long time. So the principles of it don't change too much, but the features absolutely evolve with the times. So it's always an adventure.
Yeah, I guess being in digital, while it adds a good amount of gray hairs, it does make you feel a little young because it's always changing. That's the thing. And I think that's the important thing for my listeners to understand when it comes to digital marketing is that is the nature of the beast, right? It's something that, to your point, the foundations, the strategy, even a lot of that can stay not relatively the same, but can kind of, you can roll with that a little bit longer. Platforms, updates, features, tools, all that kind of stuff is constantly evolving. And, that foundational side of things before they're ready to get to you, before they've grown their business, that's where I love to work with my clients is, just getting started. And you're kind of walking around in that marketing fog. You don't know what to do, where to go. I love to work with people like that and then grow them to a point where they're able to work with someone like you. So let's jump in. We're going to do this in alphabetical order. We have 4 Facebook, Meta, Instagram alternatives that we're going to be talking about today. And the first one we're going to go into is LinkedIn. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
That was not a convincing I'm ready. I need you
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Oh my God. That audio. I'm going to have to, okay, here we go. Let's go.
She's crazy.
All right, folks, we're going to start with LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. That's not like the full introduction. I'm just saying I like LinkedIn. I don't know if are they still doing, I saw LinkedIn I feel like for a little while, they probably still are mobile. Are they still doing like the stories type thing? They are. Everyone
They do still have stories. They do. LinkedIn's interesting to me. It's one of those platforms that I think is super underutilized, but it also is like a soapbox for people to give their soliloquies on business.
But here's the thing, that's happening in other places. I will say LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like, it's accepted there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's like an acceptable thing there. Like
it is.
I almost feel like maybe it's not as accepted on some of the other platforms. Like, it's just not as accepted. Like LinkedIn is like, oh, okay, I read the rules coming into this playground. I get that. Like, I've accepted that that's the way it is. Now, before we fully jump into LinkedIn and the rest of these, I just want to talk about real quick. So many of my clients, when I first start working with them, and so many small business owners and so many probably even big brands have this feeling that they need to be on every platform. Mm-hmm. With that, I'm going to hand over the soapbox, or maybe more apropos, the Apple box to you to stand on and talk about why that's not necessary.
I love the Apple box.
You can steal that.
I'll step right up.
She's going to steal that.
Here's the thing is that there are so many different channels and so many different avenues when it comes to how to market your business. At the end of the day, it comes back to the marketing principle, which is wherever your audience is and where it makes sense for your brand to be is where you should be. So just because your audience is driving down the highway on their commute every day, doesn't necessarily mean you should be on a billboard, doesn't necessarily mean you should be on a bus station, but it could mean that you're geo-targeting in a specific area if you are going to have a storefront in that area or within that next exit. Those are the factors when it comes into making a decision about where you are going to spend your time and your effort. And the same thing goes for social media. Just because your audience might be on one platform doesn't necessarily mean it is the right platform for you to advertise on. Because it comes down at the end of the day to, are you getting the best return on your investment? And that, as a small business owner, is an investment of your time, your energy, your resources. And it's important not to discount that because all of those are incredibly valuable.
And finite, particularly to small business. And not any less, and I say this, particularly more finite for a small business, but no less valuable for a larger business.
Absolutely. 100%.
So as we go through this episode, we're going to talk about who works well on these respective platforms. And I think that's going to help you understand if you're currently trying to spin all the plates of like I'm on 20 social accounts, but if you're not doing shit on them, who cares? So LinkedIn, who is this platform for? Who would you say is like a good fit to like use LinkedIn?
Especially when it comes to small business owners, I would highly recommend pretty much every small business owner be on LinkedIn, and here's why. You are going to have the highest amount of access to folks that are going to be in your network when you are thinking about scaling, growing, expanding your business, that it's a really great way, especially now when a lot of the world is working still remotely, to connect with key resources that are going to be incredibly beneficial for you. It's very much a B2B platform, so it's business to business. So even if you are a consumer brand, being on LinkedIn, being active on LinkedIn, and showcasing your own knowledge within your community is going to help open doors for you more so than any other platform in the professional space. So from a personal networking standpoint, absolutely recommend LinkedIn. And then from a business standpoint, it's really beneficial for B2B brands, of course, because you are able to find those folks that you're going to be selling to in the event that you are selling coaching programs, in the event that you are selling leadership packages, consulting programs. All of those are really beneficial for you to do your research and build your leads list from.
Fully agree with you. I think my only, and I don't know what the answer is, but my only issue with LinkedIn is I will say that it has got a little bit noisy in the inbox.
Yes.
I feel like, particularly as someone who on their profile has whatever the hell I have, founder, CEO, podcaster, whatever, like these are hot. These are hot subjects for people to reach out to me with inquiries. Now, listen, I am not going to be mad at someone for trying to grow their business, right? That's totally fine. And I will even say that from some of those, I've had very positive discussions or results or things like that. But I will say it can get a little overwhelming if you are kind of, first time creating this account, that kind of thing. And weirdly enough, I would say, here's the deal. You don't need to treat your inbox on LinkedIn like your email inbox, or at least how I treat my email inbox. I'm a big inbox zero person, right? I like a clean inbox, I annoyingly tweeted about this just like 2 days ago. LinkedIn won't let me select all my messages in my inbox. I want to archive them all. Like new year, I want to get them all out of there. And they go back. Like I said, I've been working for the better part of over 20 years now. And not to say I've had my LinkedIn profile the whole time, but I've had LinkedIn profile for a long time. I got a lot of messages in there. So
what is it, 2011?
Yeah. I mean, it was my first if LinkedIn started 2011, knowing myself, I was definitely on it. As soon as I could get on it, I'm sure I was on it. There's another audience that I think, or group, that I think needs to still be mindful of LinkedIn. And I would say that is what I call maybe the junior marketer, right? the person who is maybe in their first marketing role or maybe even coming out of college, that kind of thing. And I think have a very distinct perspective or have a lot of, knowledge to share, or even I think at that point, it's a lot about like just enthusiasm and, hey, I'm really interested in this. This is LinkedIn, I think, is a great platform there. Not so much a business case, but I do think it's valuable for networking. And maybe I'm putting myself out there to say I'm a sucker for if someone that's like fresh out of college is like, hey, I'd love to pick your brain. I'm a huge sucker for them. I don't do pick my brain sessions with other business owners because my brain is how I get paid. But with those young, up and coming, aspiring digital marketers, I will make time for them.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good way of going about it. With LinkedIn, I would agree with you that the inbox isn't necessarily the best place for LinkedIn. But the two places where LinkedIn can actually be really beneficial are the feed and the groups.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about the feed of what are you posting and what are you interacting with, making sure that you are following and connecting with like-minded individuals in the industry, you are commenting your unique perspective on trending topics, you are sharing trending topics. LinkedIn favors the highlights of the day. So you'll see that in your top right corner. Is there anything that you see that day that you feel like you could add value to, that you can put your own unique spin on? And that in and of itself is a great way to get recognized in any industry. Additionally, going through and liking and following groups that are relevant to not just you, but also to your audience. Where is your buyer at on LinkedIn? How can you get into those groups? How can you track what they're talking about? And then what can you do with that data to really refine how you are reaching out to them in a non-intrusive in the inbox way?
Also, I'd like to do an official LinkedIn PSA regarding groups. And that is to say, if you're in a group, can you please add value and not just post your shit? I am in a lot of groups, and I was going through this literally right before the show. And I'm like, I like to help people. I really do. This is not, that's a branded statement. Like, I really enjoy developing and working with people. So I go into these groups, I swear, go in to be like, let me see if there are any relevant questions or conversations I can jump into to help people. And so many of the groups are just spamapalooza of people being like it's not even like content of their own posting. They put like, it's just like, hey, I do this, it's just nonstop like promo fest, right? So you listening to this, buck that trend, add value, as Hillary said, as I'm telling you, and you will stand out in that group because so few other people are doing that. So let's talk about someone either doesn't have a LinkedIn profile or they have one and it's dusty, right? It's got cobwebs all over it. They need to go in and like clean that thing out. What's something someone could do today or in an hour to get started? I have one. So if you like, I can start and then you can tell me if it's a good or bad suggestion.
How about you go ahead and step up on the Apple box?
Oh my God. He's handing over the Apple box. Here we go. Oh, I slipped and fell, broke my hip. Okay, here we go. My recommendation would be to go in and optimize and update your profile. Now, if it's been a long time since you've been in LinkedIn, and you haven't gone to your own profile, chances are there's a lot of empty spaces, and you may not have even known. This happened to me even like a month ago. I went, I was like, let me look at my profile. I was like, oh, they've added like some new sections, they've reorganized it, that kind of thing. So if you have an existing profile, but it's dusty, go in and update it. It has like, you can add featured links in there. So these are things that kind of spotlight either if you're a writer or creative or your business or whatever, you can select the links that go there. Do something just to kind of, update and get your profile so that it's just that, updated. Hillary, agree, disagree?
Absolutely agree. I would say that is definitely step number one, because when you start putting yourself out there on LinkedIn and when you start including yourself in groups, when you start adding yourself to conversations, people are going to start looking at your profile. So if they come to a graveyard of ideas and outdated information, it's not really going to do much for you. So,
or you have like your high school graduation and that's like your only accomplishment, you know?
yeah, that's a really good point, is that if you have been in your industry for a really long time, or if you have pivoted in your career and you have experience that doesn't necessarily correlate with the direction that you want to go, make sure that you try to optimize it to be relevant to the experience that you have now. So if you were a sales associate in a retail store, but now you are a salesperson, make sure that you talk more about your sales goals, your sales numbers, your sales initiatives, what you did to improve sales in that role, not just that you were restocking inventory, that you were make sure it's very relevant to what you are doing and what you're wanting to do. And if it's not relevant, go ahead and remove it. It doesn't need to be a very full, robust description about everything that you've done.
It's not a legally binding document, folks. You can make your LinkedIn, for better or worse, whatever you want it to be. So
and
now,
that being said,
that being so, okay, go ahead. And that being said,
go include yourself in groups that are relevant to you, your industry, and your buyer. Make sure that you are thinking about ways that you can contribute and add value through your own stories, your own perspective, your owned, everything that you've got. Go ahead and put it out there and make it worthwhile for your time.
What we're saying is you do you, and we're going to do us. And when we do us, that means we're going to move on to the next platform, and we're going in alphabetical order. So the next platform is Pinterest.
Yay. I love Pinterest.
Now, people coming in, they may think, Pinterest, I don't make recipes. I don't have an Etsy store. What do I need this Pinterest for?
I don't do DIY.
What the heck is this? But you blew my mind with a group that you said does well on Pinterest. Say the words.
Coaches, baby. Y'all got an opportunity of a lifetime on Pinterest, and here is why.
Oh my God, she's really psyched about this.
Sorry, I'm getting so
This did blow my mind.
Do you know what percent of Pinterest users are interested in education?
Ooh, this is a good quiz. Okay, what percent? 80.
49.
It's way off. I was way off. That's still high. That's still crazy high.
Very high. It is very high. And when you think about that, DIY and crafts is at 53%. So it's not necessarily the same idea that people have about Pinterest users, which is that they're just making recipes and they're making bookshelves. Like, it is far beyond that. You can. It's all there.
It's not mutually exclusive, folks.
But for coaches, anything that you have, and small business owners alike, if you are trying to grow your email list, having your freebies or your free downloadables, your opt-ins, your white papers, your research, all that good stuff, if you're incorporating that into Pinterest and tagging it appropriately, you are going to see a very fun swing on your website regarding those inbound inquiries. Because if you are adding value to that audience, Pinterest is essentially a social media Google platform. It is entirely search-based. So people are looking for a very specific piece of information. So they're looking for a social media strategy. They are looking for how to start a small business. They are looking for how to start a podcast. All of those key pieces of information that you might have, you can incorporate into your Pinterest page, and you are going to see the benefits of those folks that are searching for that content.
Yeah, Pinterest is very inquiry based as opposed to purely algorithmic. It doesn't mean it doesn't have both of those components, but you're right. Like, it is very much that hybrid between, it's like it has a Google aspect to it where someone essentially is kind of moving themselves down the funnel of like, hey, I'm interested in something specifically that I am looking for. And if your business has those types of freebies, and oftentimes coaches do, I'm in my content workshop right now. I'm churning away. I'm going to have like 3 or 4 in Q1. I'm polishing them up, right? The elves in the workshop working really hard. Now I know I'm going to really have to post on Pinterest, or Hillary's going to be crazy mad at me. This is a great place. And so kind of tied to that, I also know if you're out there listening to this and like, wow, and your mind was just blown, as mine was, by Hillary talking about coaches, or maybe even, again, if you have that thought leadership, right? That thought leader kind of aspect, and you give away those freebies, the lead gen, if you will, like, hey, I'll give you this for your email, right? Mm-hmm. If you're looking to get started on Pinterest, you can just create an account, right? As a person, as if you are your business, if you're a solopreneur, but you can also create a brand account, which is actually really helpful and super cool. I have one for Tricycle Creative. I use it with my marketing assistant because I am constantly like screenshotting or taking a picture or sketching crazy things of like, hey, this is an idea I had for my design, and I'd sketch it and I'd put it up on a board there. So it's like, okay, this is a video overlay, or this is a podcast design, or this is a whatever. So I use it a lot, even just for our internal content creation. But you can go and create a brand account. And much like many brand accounts, though, and Hillary, maybe you can confirm this, but I'm 99% sure, it will need to be connected to like a personal account. Mm-hmm. So you would need to create a personal account first, and then you can like swap between them. It's pretty cool. Hillary, if I do that, what's that added benefit of doing the branded board?
Analytics, man. You get to see exactly how it's working. You get to see how your content is stacking up against the rest of Pinterest. You can dive into the trends. So something that can be really insightful for your small business is that people that have a high affinity for dogs are engaging with your content. And you can sit there and be like, wow, maybe I'll include some fun dog content along with my coaching content.
It's about time, because I have at least 400 gigs of photos of my dog. So, it's about time a platform let me combine those things. Ellie is going to be moving product for me. See? I hope she doesn't ask for a cut. She's currently asleep at my feet. Doesn't seem
Ellie, negotiate your stock options wisely.
Shut up, Hillary. Shut up, Hillary. Shut up. Don't cut your dog in on it. Give them... No, I'm kidding. Give them treats. Give them some treats. All right. Is there anything else on Pinterest that you think people need to know if they are looking at this as an additional or alternative to the Facebooks?
What I would say is that Pinterest is going to be a bigger driver for website traffic for organic users. So if you are working on a very limited budget, you don't necessarily have a lot of dollars to be spending targeting your audience, absolutely check out Pinterest if you're trying to drive that website traffic, whether that is e-commerce, whether it is coaching. It is a wonderful tool for anyone that is trying to build out their email list. And it is not nearly as tricky as some people might think to create original content on Pinterest. And if you are going to be getting started on it, I would recommend looking at Tailwind as your producing app. And that's a wonderful place to create, schedule, and automate content that's going out into Pinterest.
Oh, yes, Tailwind. Tailwindapp.com. It's a Pinterest and Instagram, but from what I'm seeing, what they're telling me when I did the quick Google search. So you've used Tailwind hands-on.
It's the best.
You like it. Okay,
I
there
love
you go,
it.
Folks.
I love it. A lot of Pinterest content can be it is, but a lot of Pinterest content can be repurposed. So it's a great way to automate and schedule out content at once. So you can really spend half of a day creating content, putting it in there, and it will run its life course over the next 30, 60, 90 days. So
wow.
Absolutely
Look at that,
recommend it
folks.
for small business owners that are looking for efficiencies.
Another one, if you go back into the archives at tripodpodcast.com, you will see Hillary and I think it was even last fall. I was actually just looking at it today, weirdly enough. We did a whole episode on digital marketing tools that we really love. So I don't know if Tailwind made the list then, but you just got it now. But you can go back again, tripodpodcast.com, and find the digital marketing tools that we're thankful for. Yes, it was around this time of year because I think we did it last year around Thanksgiving.
I think we did.
I think that sounds right.
Hey, Steve.
Oh, hey, David.
What are you up to?
I just got back from the doctor.
And you're excited?
Well, you know how recently I've been confused about my marketing?
Yeah.
Well, I've been unable to conduct simple marketing tasks. Plus, I have this persistent anxiety about posting on social media. I told this to the doctor, and he said I have MAP.
MAP? What's that?
Marketing Analysis Paralysis. It affects most creative business owners and in some cases can even lead to business failure.
Oh, man. But it seems like you're not worried about that happening to you.
Yeah, the doctor gave me this pamphlet.
Marketing Clarity Coaching Program by Tricycle Creative?
Yep, they have this 10-week intensive coaching program where they can help me better define my customers, build my brand identity, and when it's over, I'll have hundreds of content ideas and opportunities.
So obviously you're going to do it, right?
Yeah, I've been putting this off for too long. I'm going to head over to getmarketingclarity.com right now and book my 15-minute call.
Getmarketingclarity.com? I think I'll head over there too.
Okay, we're moving on. We've talked about LinkedIn. We've talked about Pinterest. We're doing this in alphabetical order. This next one, Hillary's going to do a lot of the talking. We're going to be talking TikTok. Talking TikTok next.
My favorite. They're all my favorite. I think I've said that about all of them. I love all my children equally.
Hillary cannot pick a favorite. They're all her favorite for different reasons, which gets back to my original point. She sees all of these and she works with the clients to say, this could be a good fit, this could be a good fit. So she sees the value that each of them brings. Now, you don't have to love all of them. You don't have to. It's okay. Because it's better to just say, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to focus energies on maybe this one. So then you don't have all these starving mouths to feed. As I say, he's like, okay, I started an account. Typically, Twitter is the one that people hate. We're going to talk about that next. But we're talking about TikTok now. So who thrives on TikTok? Who should be on TikTok? What type of business person should be on TikTok?
The person that can keep up with TikTok is the person that should be on TikTok.
That's great advice.
So that going back to what you just said and coloring it a little bit more, there are so many options out there for business owners, and some that I might even say, this is a great platform for coaches. This is a great platform for agencies, great platform for consultants. At the end of the day, the best platform is the one that you are going to be consistent on and the one that you are excited about. And you can't teach yourself to push past the pain of thoroughly disliking Pinterest, no matter how much it's going to be beneficial for you.
Spoiler alert. When I work with clients who are struggling with this, in the marketing fog and the analysis paralysis, that is one of the big conversations I was like, are any of these the ones that you find yourself personally on more? Or that you enjoy being on, or for that matter, that you hate being on, that you truly dislike? Because the reality, what Hillary said, the reality is if you don't like being there, if you're confused, if you hate it, how, with that finite amount of time and resources, how likely are you actually going to be to sit down and do something with it? Very low chances that is going to happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The one, there is no, it's not like when you work with someone like me or someone like Hillary that you come in and you give us your rundown and we say, oh, well, okay. I've crunched all the numbers and the perfect platform it's not like that. We can say, well, this trends to work like this. This can work like this. There are signals that work like this. But it really does come down to, what is the space? And even to some extent, Hillary, I think you'd agree with this, almost like what's the medium that you also find yourself gravitating towards? Words, video, photo,
Yep, I would 100% agree with that. And, it also is important to know that there's a difference between the unknown period, which is, I don't know about this, I want to try it out. That's not an immediate excuse to say, I don't understand TikTok. I've never even been on it. It's not a great platform for me. But it is the after you have explored TikTok, after you've read about it a bit, after you have played around there a little bit, if you find yourself repulsive with it, don't get on it. But if you're like, wow, I find myself getting sucked into it, this is super interesting, then absolutely, I would say that that's a great platform for you. TikTok and any creative content platform require creative content in order to be effective. So with TikTok, you don't necessarily have to identify yourself as a creative person. It's just like any other social platform, which is what message are you sending out to which audience and in what way. So if you have a clear alignment on that, absolutely creating the video piece and the video portion of it is the next step into being successful on TikTok. The reason that I love TikTok for small business owners is, one, it's incredibly supportive of the small business space. Whether you are an Etsy shop, whether you're a coach, all of the small business owners, I see a really supportive, wonderful community on TikTok. I actually had an old client who has over 1 million TikTok followers, and she's a book editor. So
Wow.
The range is phenomenal there.
So what you're telling me is, me as an old man, if I show up there, that they're not going to immediately give me a wedgie and push me into the mud.
No, but It's important that you understand the audience you're getting into and what they need, not what you
kids?
think they need. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So understanding the platform is really beneficial. It's very powerful in order to get into it. And TikTok has trends like LinkedIn that will help amplify your message. So keeping up with trends, keeping up with trending sounds, trending topics, all of the factors that lead to high visibility are going to be really helpful for you to keep an eye on so that you're creating content that's actually going to reach the audience that you're looking to reach. So
let's say I'm now color me intrigued on TikTok. What should someone do today? What's the place where they start?
Create a TikTok account would be number one. You can be signed into 3 at a time. So if you have a personal account and a business account, you can absolutely make those. And then start exploring. So you will have what's called a For You page, and that is essentially a algorithmic curated newsfeed, kind of like Pinterest, which is like, this is what we think you would be interested in based on your previous behavior. So as you're scrolling through, as you're stopping, as you're watching, as you're liking, all of that is going to algorithmically feed into what you will start to see on your For You page. That will be really helpful in the beginning to get started because, one, it'll be fun. You'll get sucked into it. You'll lose some hours. And then 2, you'll be inspired. So as you start to like small business owner content, or if you're in a specific niche or a specific industry, as you're starting to see those pieces of content, you'll see what is trending. You'll see what is working well. You'll gather all of that information around what it is that you can do on your own. And then you'll be inspired to say, this sound, this trend, the story that I have, all of these are ways that I can get involved. That would be my first step. And then if you are curious to start creating your own TikTok, there are a ton of tutorials out there. I will not bore you with the details, but absolutely look up some tutorials on how to cut and edit your own. And don't be scared. At the end of the day, the worst thing that can happen is no one sees it. And the best part of that is that no one even knows.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, never let the perfection get in the way of production, particularly when you're first starting off on any of these platforms, right?
Yep.
It's totally okay. It is totally okay for you to fail and learn. That is okay. So with that lovely, super informative section on the TikTok, we're now going to move to our final platform, Twitter.
Not my favorite.
No. She just threw Twitter out in the cold like a redheaded stepchild. And as a red bearded stepchild, I can relate. How could she? Let's do it.
Twitter, man.
Hillary has got some Twitter problems. And you know what? If you're listening to this, maybe and probably you can relate, because Twitter, in my experience and working with my clients, it is the most misunderstood. It's also the one that is like, I got the account, but I don't do anything with. Almost 9 times out of 10. When I'm like, oh, talk to me about what accounts you have. Well, Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest. But then we have a Twitter account, but we don't really do anything with it. That is the most common thing I hear in my entire life of being a marketing coach is, Twitter, we don't really do anything with it, right? Now, I would say that Twitter is best for someone with the 3 S's. 3 S's. Sassy, smart, subject matter, right? So I feel like Twitter is good for you if you got a little sass, because I do think you need a little bit of, tude. I think a little tude. It's not necessary, but I think it can help. I think that also I say smart in that because a big part of, I think, Twitter comes down to kind of just navigating and connecting. And I do think there's a lot of brain trusts there, which brings me to subject matter also, because you're going to get in these groupings or you want to try to have conversations. That's the key difference, I think, between Twitter and all the rest, is that Twitter, you need to be actively engaged for it to work. That's not to say that engagement will not help you on all the other platforms. They will. They absolutely will. But you can get away with a little like, okay, I can post something and let it breathe and engage in comments and things like that. Twitter, I feel like you need to be in it to win it.
Yep.
Do you agree?
Oh my gosh, yes. There are industries and there are people that Twitter is phenomenal for.
Yeah.
And if you enjoy disappointment, that's also good for you too. Because man, you can talk to some crickets there. My favorite, the only time that I have actually enjoyed Twitter was when I managed sports accounts. That's that's a great point. And let me bring this up when we're talking about maybe who Twitter is actually a good fit for. I was discussing this with my friend Kayla, and she said the thing that she loves Twitter. The thing that she loves about Twitter is when something is happening, it is the platform where people go. Yep.
And I do think there is a ton of truth there. Yep. When some news breaks, when something happens, my own habits, yours might be different, but I'm going to tell you my own habits. The first one I open up is Twitter to see what's happening. So I think Twitter is very much in the moment. And when I was in events, when I did events marketing, whether it was at any one of my former, career job places, Twitter for like events, right? It's big. It is huge with live events, interaction, that kind of thing. It almost, I feel like, kind of needs that like firewood, if you will, to if you're a brand or a business to keep it going. That helps a lot. Those types of events.
Yep. It's live events. It's natural disasters. It's disasters in general that are not natural.
So if you sell natural disasters, it's great.
It is news. It is media. But that being said, even if you have a podcast, it is a great platform for you. If you are going to an industry event, it's a great platform to be on. The one thing that I would caution for business owners is it is not an always on platform if you can't dedicate the time to it. Because like you said, it is an of the moment platform. So you almost need to be in the mindset of, you have to be nimble with it, which is when something timely is occurring, go ahead and hop on Twitter and interact and engage in real time. It's a very difficult platform to pre-create content for or bulk create content for, unless you are taking an angle of inspirational evergreen content.
Yes.
And that can be an angle, but definitely don't treat it the way that you do with other platforms. And, don't beat yourself up.
I think also if you like words, if you're more of a wordsmith than a visual, I mean, understandably, Twitter is going to be the place. I think it is potentially a more viable place for you.
Yeah,
let me put it that way.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think if you have that Twitter account that has the cobwebs and you are now motivated, okay, here are some things you can do when you are done listening to this entire show, because you're not allowed to leave until you listen to the entire show. I'm surprised you didn't know that, but that was the agreement when you hit play. You can create a curated list. So if you're not using lists in Twitter, I do feel like you're almost not getting the most juice for the squeeze when it comes to Twitter, right? So you can create a custom list. That could be people, and it's obviously, it's completely up to you, but that could be people who are in your industry. It could be people who maybe even, your own, city, right? Oh, what's going on in my city? And now Twitter, even when you go in, they can recommend lists. You can follow those lists, that kind of thing. So lists are, I think, a really big, you can also create a list based out of a hashtag. So if you are in an industry that you see a lot of people gravitating towards a hashtag, that is something that you can do. So super powerful. And then I think to our other point, the other thing you can do is spend time interacting, communicating with people with no expectation that they're going to pull their wallet out. I think that's an important asterisk behind this, is that Twitter is definitely a place, to your point, where I feel like you got to bring a lot of value. I mean, this is true of any platform, but Twitter, again, as a little bit of an outlier, you got to really bring it for a long time and with a lot of value before it's someone's just going to click on this and buy something.
Mm-hmm. It's not a buy platform. It is definitely a brand builder platform. So similar to LinkedIn, where you are creating connection and conversation. I'd say LinkedIn has a better chance of converting sales if you're in a B2B space, but it has a time and a place to be on Twitter. But I, for most industries, would probably recommend it as a secondary platform, and completely understand why a lot of businesses don't necessarily put it at their number one, because it is great for certain industries, and it is okay to not great for a lot of others.
It's true. It's true. So we've hit the big four: LinkedIn, Pinterest, TikTok, Twitter. But before we go, why don't we do a quick speed round of what we learned today? Hillary, how does that sound?
I love it. Let's do it.
All right, folks. So let's do the speed round. LinkedIn, if you're into it, if you're jazzed about it after this conversation, go in, optimize your profile, right? As Hillary said. Hillary, what did you say? You said join groups.
Join groups.
Join some groups.
Interact with some content.
Interact. What's the big whoop? Throw a like to someone. Follow me. Follow Ross Hirosian. Follow Hillary Applegate. Follow these great people. They're super smart and great. Okay. Pinterest. If you're jazzed, like I am, like Hillary is, about Pinterest, you didn't know. You thought coming into this episode, you'd be like, listen, I'll sit through Pinterest, but I ain't going to be doing nothing with Pinterest. And now you're like, I got to stop listening to this and go get on Pinterest. Well, if you haven't created an account, you can create an account, but you can also create a brand account, right? So that way you can differentiate between all those recipes, right? Made a great corn tortilla soup the other day from Pinterest.
Nice.
Share that with everyone in the show notes. Maybe, probably not, but maybe. Show notes, tripodpodcast.com. You can create a brand account and share your content and create content there. What else am I missing am I missing anything else from Pinterest?
Everything we hit on.
Boom. Okay.
Analytics.
We love data. See what's working. Get those dogs in there. No cats. No cat content. No one likes cat content.
I love cat content.
I wish you could, man. For those of you, this is an audio podcast, but I wish you could have seen Hillary's face when I said no cat content. That was the most offensive thing that I've said this whole episode, and that's saying a lot. TikTok, Hillary, I'm gonna just yield the floor. Hand that Apple box right back over to you. What should someone be doing with TikTok?
Explore it. Don't knock it till you try it. Check it out and get inspired. Swipe through, engage with other pages that are similar to yours. Look up hashtags on there. Find some fun trending content. I think everyone will be surprised at how little dance moves they see on it if they curate their platform correctly.
Here's the thing about TikTok. I will say this, and I've said this before. I do get the genuine feeling from TikTok when I go in there that it's fun still. It is. It's a very positive place, unlike Twitter, which can be incredibly negative. Hillary hates Twitter. So let's talk about it. Let's get it the hell out of here before Hillary just totally burns Twitter to the ground. She hates it. Okay. But if you don't hate it, or if you want to get started on it, I've been loving Twitter. That's what's so funny that Hillary hates it. I'm glad that we have the two different perspectives on it, because I know that I have a little issue with Twitter. But here's the thing. I mean, I like it a lot. I use it a lot, but I do have a little bit of, I have a lot of clever friends, and that's difficult on Twitter because you see how clever they are and you're like, dang it, can't be that clever. But whatever. Again, I don't let that stand in my way. It's a great personal platform. It is. And so when you follow me at Ross Hero, dog pics and marketing, those are the things I can promise you. So you can create a curated list, right? So get on Twitter, create a curated list. Also spend time interacting with people, right? I will also say this, there are a bunch of third-party Twitter managers. Hootsuite obviously does it. TweetDeck, which is Twitter's own thing. But weirdly enough, the Twitter app, it kind of is still the best. And it's almost the best, weirdly enough, because of its simplicity, which is, I think, Twitter in a nutshell. Yep. Like, there's a lot of stuff Twitter can do, and even some new features they've rolled out, but they're still just like, listen, this is what we do. They're the first to troll TikTok, Instagram, Facebook when they all crash. So really, that happened this month, and that was hilarious. And the Wendy's Twitter account. We all appreciate the Wendy's Twitter account. Just burning people left and right. Okay, so this was, I hope, very helpful for you. There will be show notes on this entire episode, tripodpodcast.com. Now, before Hillary leaves, Hillary, one more time, tell us, where could people find you? You can find Social HQ at Your Social HQ on all platforms, including Twitter, just to see how much we love it, or at www.yoursocialhq.com. I'm intentionally only going to make you a Twitter clip to share. So then you have to use Twitter. I'm going to force the hand. I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't be that cruel. Also, if I do say so myself, your new website is very lovely. Thank you. It is really, really great. Thank you. Sarah Kleist Design. She's out of New York. She is fantastic. Highly recommend. What is this, a sponsor read? What the heck? Hillary's slipping in sponsor reads unapproved. Give her a shout out. She did a fabulous job. I'll allow it. It is a very good site. YourSocialHQ.com. Until next time, till I talk at you next, until you follow me on Twitter at Ross Hero or other places at Hello Tricycle, I encourage you to keep pedaling.
Thanks for listening to Tripod. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. For show notes and past episodes, go to tripodpodcast.com. Connect with Tricycle Creative on social media at Hello Tricycle and learn more about how we can help you with your marketing at tricycle-creative.com.